It is currently December 29th of 2021. I am Bobby. You are
Sneaking right into the line.
We are sneaking right in with the last episode of the Casual Hour, a podcast ostensibly about video games, but mostly about air fryers.
We're done.
No. Here
signing off
in 2021.
And 2021 broke us, so I think we're just done.
I'm Bobby Pease. That wonderful friend of mine that you're hearing right now is Chase Kinnicky. And the one with the eerie iridescent glow that you're looking at and hearing is Johnny Amazich.
Hi, Bobby.
How are you all doing? This is the first time that I've seen or talked to you in a few weeks. And
wow. Well, I mean, non-text message wise.
Yeah,
I suppose.
I hope that you're hope you had a good holiday.
Yeah, it was good. I'm ready to knock the dust of 2021 off of my my boots and step right into the pile of shit that 2022 is going to be.
What? No, 2022 is going to be great, though.
We got a whole new outlook here
for video games.
Arguably,
I don't know, maybe
one of the better ones.
I mean, all the games that were supposed to come out this year are going to come out next year, right? Isn't that
maybe?
That's how it keeps going.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, look, we've all been chatting. We've all been staying well connected. I know that you all have got some really exciting things to talk about tonight. For anybody who's tuning in, we just covered our Game of the Year content. We took a little bit of time off, and we do this. Well, this is our first year doing it with a stream, but in years past, we've taken a little bit of a step back the last few weeks of December to just be with friends and family, catch up on some games that maybe we rushed through. And I know that we've completed a bunch of old games that we've been waiting to get through over the last 2 weeks. Everybody got their backlog taken care of. There's not anything left to clean up in 2021.
No, certainly not.
We are doing great looking ahead. But I know that we've all been chatting together as a team here. And one of the things we're going to talk about up front, I'm sorry he's not here to share it with you all, is Patrick, our good friend, colleague, co-host. He is going to be taking OG member
from episode 1 for me.
He is getting ready to do some pretty big life moves, and he is refocusing some of his energy on some of his current needs as far as moving and just growth in those areas. And we wish him nothing but love and luck in what he's doing. But he is going to be taking a step back from the show and honestly video games for a bit as he's doing this move. So
yeah,
Patrick will not be on the show for a while. We love you. We wish you nothing but the best, and we hope to see you do the things that we know you're destined for. So thank you for everything that you've done for us. Thank you for being a friend. To quote.
And we look forward to when and if you're able to come back. You always have a open seat here for you, and maybe that'll work out again sometime.
Absolutely. So let's talk about tonight. We've got a pretty big show ahead of us. It's going to be a what you've been playing variant. And what I mean by that is instead of the news, we're going to be talking a little bit about the year behind us and the year ahead of us. And what that means is we're going to talk a little bit about our first year as a streaming show and what we think worked well, and then maybe like what we hope to change moving forward. We also are going to do something kind of fun where if we had to pick our whatever our top 10 may be for 2022 right now without playing any of these games, we're going to do our absolute best to put together a top 10. I'll tell you right now, I don't know if mine is 100% in the order I would have it, but I've got 10 games that I think could be on my list next year that I'm happy to talk to you about tonight.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, we got some games that we've been playing and some new toys we've been playing them with. And tonight, we're going to tell you all about that. So Chase and Johnny, if it's all right with both of you, I'd say let's get to it. Let's crack to it, as I say.
Let's jump in.
Love it.
Talk
Great.
about some games.
Well, in the spirit of looking ahead, I've been playing this brand new game. It's really hot right now. Everybody's super excited. Everybody's talking about it. It's got the biggest buzz. It's called Super Robot Wars 30, and I know you're unfamiliar with this because it's just so new. And I've certainly not talked to the podcast before, so I'm really looking forward to telling you everything about it. And that's how the Casual Hour ended. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I promise. But the second DLC, this is the last announced DLC.
Yeah, what you've
for
been
Super
waiting
Bowl 30.
to
This
have.
is
They
why you
might do
stopped
more. Who
playing
knows?
it, because you were waiting.
Yeah,
for
it's why I didn't even really start playing it. I played like the first couple missions just to see how it
That
felt.
was
I
my
played
excuse.
that demo.
Now that the DLC is here, I'm fucked.
Yeah, now the DLCs, you got to find a new excuse. Yeah, they announced 2 DLC packs that had a bunch of new units, and the way Super Robot Wars works is that you get these units over the course of the game, and I didn't want to play through an entire game that would take 60, 70 plus hours
Easy.
and maybe not have the good characters until all the way at the end, or the DLC characters until all the way at the end. Like, I'd rather have them up front as I'm playing that game. That'd be cool. So I waited, and now they're all out, and I can play as them, and I have been playing that game quite a bit, and I'm
And?
liking it. I'm liking it. It's Super Robot Wars. It's kind of what you expect in some aspects. I think it is really interesting that it has the amount of branching paths that it does. I mean,
Yeah.
branching paths is maybe giving it too much credit. It just gives you a lot of options, but you kind of have to do so many of the actual options to continue to move the story forward. It actually feels a lot like Metal Gear Solid 5, where you'd have missions that you can take on kind of at any time, and those would change around as you play. But there are some missions like, oh, this is the one that might move the story, or you have to do these 3 before this other thing will show up, and that's kind of what this is doing, which is kind of cool. It does actually change some of the missions based on what you do. There's a Johnny, you'll appreciate this because it's about Gundam.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where you can do a couple of different missions, and one of them is to get Amuro on your team, and then the other one is to get Camille on your team. And
Isn't Camille a girl's name?
You'd think. So you can do either one of those missions, but depending on which one you do, the next mission is actually different. You'll end up getting both of them eventually, but the mission to get Amuro changes if you pick to get Camille first versus if you get Amuro first. Like it might be like a whole different map and a whole different set of enemies for things, which seems like a lot of extra work that I don't think they needed to do. But more power to them, I guess.
This is Super Robot Wars 30, so
it seems like they really did go all out. I've been having a good time with it. I've got a lot of cool characters on my team already, and I'm really early in the game, and that's been fun. The DLC, I think, is actually really interesting, where they give you these really early missions that you can just kind of take on whenever, that kind of say like, oh, hey, here are some of the DLC characters, and some of them kind of scatter to the winds. You're like, well, maybe I'll see them again sometime. And then you will get a couple of them really early. A couple of those missions just unlock, but I think some of them will be further down the line. So I got a few of those characters right now, and then maybe I'll see some of those other characters as I move forward. And that's been fun. It's been a cool time. Yeah, go for it.
So I know that as somebody who is not as nearly as initiated as you are, I've seen a little bit of 30, and I can't remember if it was X or T that you and I played on Lumberjack Smack back in the day.
It was T, and we did, and you came on for an episode of X when I was doing it for JCK Plays. So you've seen those 3.
Yes. I don't mean this to come across.
Sure.
I'm being serious. It's like Call of Duty. Call of Duty looks like Call of Duty when you see Call of Duty, right?
It does.
And so, like, Super Robot Wars 30, I felt looked a lot like the other 2. Is there anything visually different about the DLC that they're doing with this, or is it still pretty much what you would expect from the formula with just some new story beats?
From the DLC specifically, absolutely not. Like it's just more units, but it mostly looks the same. You look at that game versus X or T, and you'll go, I don't really see the difference. But
it's more Super Robot Wars.
Yeah, I would say the menus feel a little bit different. Some of the more granular mechanics will feel a little bit different. I think there are some, if you know what you're doing, there are some ways to really break the economies in this game. Multiple kinds of economies. There are ways to break those economies real quick and real easy. and that's been kind of fun to play around with that because the other games didn't have those would be things that you wouldn't get until maybe like halfway into the game, and this one goes like if you know what you're doing, you can totally find the things that just allow you to get double XP and double money on basically every turn. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do that. So that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, essentially, it's still Super
It's
Robot Wars. The maps.
It's more Super Robot Wars, not new Super Robot Wars.
Yeah. I think the most surprising thing is probably that it got an actual Western release.
Correct. It got an actual...
I can buy this on Steam and play it there.
Yes. It got a full North American translation. You don't just have to get the Southeast Asian versions that have that translated version. You don't have to import this game if you're playing on PC. If you're playing on Switch like I am, you still need to import it. But I've been having a great time on Switch, and that's been totally fine, and all the DLC stuff works, so that's been great. Anyway, awesome. So that's Super Robot Wars 30. I'm going to keep on playing that for a long time, I imagine. I also like that it seems like these missions are not quite as long as missions in previous Super Robot Wars games can get.
A little lengthy.
I mean, these aren't short by any stretch of the imagination, but it does feel like this kind of more choose your own adventure thing they've got going on means that, hey, we're going to make these things a little bit more bite-sized because we're going to have so many more of them that you can decide in any kind of different configurations. And that's been kind of nice. Anyway, another game that I've been playing. Oh, you got something about it?
Just one thing I want to throw out there. This is a suggestion for our content tonight. Is it possible the hardware piece of this that we package together, since there's two of you with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
I was going to wait for that. Yeah.
Now you have to.
Yeah. Now I have to wait on, or now I have to talk about it?
No, wait.
Okay. I've also been playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I've been playing it for my YouTube channel, Chasing K Plays. Johnny's been there. It's been fun.
Yeah.
We've been doing a Nuzlocke and having a really pretty great time with it.
You might say I've had more fun watching you play that game and do the Nuzlocke together than I have playing the actual game myself.
I can believe that. Because I've also been playing the game on the side, where I'm playing our version. We're playing Shining Pearl, and then I'm also playing Brilliant Diamond, but I'm making sure never to go past where we are in the Nuzlocke run, because I don't want to spoil any potential thing for us, even though they're based on Gen 4 games that I've played before. I guess you haven't played Diamond and Pearl, but I basically know what's going to happen. But I still am trying to kind of save myself in case something does change between these. So right now we have 2 gym badges, I believe, and the 3rd gym, it kind of makes you go past, and then you get to the 4th gym. So I think where we are in the Nuzlocke, the next episode we're going to record, we're going to go after the 4th gym and then come back to the 3rd. I believe that's where we are. And I think those games have been pretty solid. I said that I wouldn't put them in my top 10 because I didn't feel like I'd played enough of them to make it count. But I've been having a pretty good time with that. I like what they've done with the Grand Underground, where it kind of feels like the wild area from Sword and Shield, where you can actually see the Pokemon running around. It's a good way to find a bunch of Pokemon of different types that you wouldn't find in the overworld. In fact, like some Pokemon you wouldn't find in Diamond and Pearl until way, way later in the game. You can find much earlier by doing the Grand Underground. And we've talked about this before. I don't love the look of the chibi tater tot stuff. I think they look fantastic when they get into battles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it has that Let's Go style, and it looks great. I think the mechanics are pretty darn solid in there. I just kind of...
Here's the thing, man.
Too easy.
There's nothing wrong with this game. It's actually a very, very sound Pokemon experience, but it's a little flat for me. And I think it's fine overall. I'm really hopeful that a game we'll talk about next week that comes out in January might
Yep.
have a little bit more pizzazz to it.
I'm right there with you, man. I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yep.
I don't think it will, but
I
I'm
mean,
also.
Do you think
Sure.
it's gonna be pretty
Yes.
shallow?
I think we're talking about Legends Arceus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling that game is not going to be what any of us are actually looking for.
Yeah, but it's still a new Pokemon game, which means I'll buy it.
Absolutely, I'll buy it. I'll play
Yeah,
it. I just
sure.
have a feeling it's gonna crash hard for us. Anyway, I think these games are fine. I'm really loving the Nuzlocke, and I think maybe it's because we're doing it as a Nuzlocke that I'm having a good time with it. But playing this makes me just want to play other Pokemon games more. And something else, which maybe we're about to talk about, also makes me want to play other Pokemon games more.
Yeah.
So, I think now's the time to talk about it.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, all right. I bought a thing.
I also bought a thing.
Yeah, mine's white. Johnny's black.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. Hi.
It's a Where's yours, Bobby?
Hang on.
Yours in the mail, coming on its way.
Hold on, boys.
Yep.
Got too much shit on me. Shit
Yep.
kills.
Sure. Yep. Any day now, buddy.
Sorry, I have all these
Yeah.
things I gotta get through.
Yeah. Totally. What do you got? Yeah.
That's a
That's
nice.
not- that's a very nice system, Bobby. That's
I'm
not
a
what
Retroid
this is,
man.
but you are.
I'm a
You know,
Retroid
I've
man.
always said that about you. So yeah, Johnny and I both got Analog Pockets. We got lucky, I guess,
I got the Wish.com pocket over here. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
Hey, we bought
Appreciate
that
you.
for you, goddammit.
I know.
Uh,
Where's my pocket, you sons of bitches?
Well,
dude.
yeah, you don't own any handheld video games, so there's no reason to get you a pocket, because that's kind of what this
I'll
thing
hold your
is.
hand for
Yeah.
a game.
For those who are uninitiated, what this is an Analog Pocket. Analog, the makers of the NT Mini and the Super NT, and I forgot what the Genesis one is called. I don't know. Is it Mega
SG?
Drive something? SG? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, they finally made a handheld, and it's a Game Boy.
And it does all the handhelds, or at least it will once they release.
Eventually,
More
it
adapters
comes
for it.
out of the box. This thing plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. You
Yep.
can also purchase an adapter right now that will allow it to play Game Gear games.
Yep.
Which I bought. It's not with me at the moment, but it's here somewhere.
Yeah, it's downstairs at my house.
And
and
then I think
also-
it'll. Yeah, you want to say what the other ones are?
TurboGrafx, Atari Lynx,
I think that's correct. think it's just
and there's one other one.
Was it? I thought it was just those two.
But yeah, and then also it can play Game Boy Studio games,
Yes,
and it has
which are homebrew kind of things.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
kind of a dedicated app for homebrew video games or other
Yes.
very more potentially
And,
nefarious things.
yeah, some people have been converting existing ROMs into .pocket files via a patch, so that you can actually play those directly off of an SD card. And from what this is the first analog product I've ever owned.
Same.
But from what I've heard, usually after these launch, there is shortly thereafter a jailbreak that lets you play stuff directly off an SD card.
Yeah, like the Reddit already has like countdown to the jailbreak. We're gonna
And
we'll let you know.
Yeah, just based on what I'm reading on the subreddit and stuff, I think that will probably come after the first big update, which will put Analog OS on here.
I mean, more importantly, though, I mean, Colin kind of jokes in the chat. He's got a thing to play Pokemon. It's called a PC, and absolutely, like there are plenty of emulators that you can play on your PC that have made this stuff easy. One of the cool things, there are multiple cool things about the Pocket. One is this fucking screen. The screen has a 10 times higher resolution. I don't know if it's specifically an OLED, but it's
an
got
LED.
10. Okay, it's got 10 times the resolution of the original Game Boy. And so the sprites just look so damn crisp.
Yeah, man. And it has
it's a really gorgeous screen.
it lets you cycle through how the different displays work, so you can have it look like the DMG, the OG, the green with the dots. The Game Boy Color.
I've seen some hardware that is as slick as this.
Yeah,
in a while.
I mean, it's 3.5 inch, 615 PPI. That's pixel per inch, 1600 by 1440, and as Chase said, it scales 10 times exactly from what the original Game Boy screen was. So, you're popping, these games in here, and they just look as good,
absolutely,
as they've ever looked before. And I think that's going to appeal to different people in different ways. And so,
yeah, I mean, I've got a laptop that can run emulators, and I have, and that's a thing you can take with you. But there is something about like having hardware that feels like the old hardware. Mm-hmm. It feels right. It's nice having that, and it's nice being able to have something that literally can play your old video games. I can pop in my copy of Pokemon Red. I can see that it still says I have all 151 because the battery hasn't quite died in it yet. Fingers crossed. It needs to stay alive a little bit longer until the update where I can save that state. But to be able to have that option to play those old games, and I also, Johnny, I don't know if you also got this option. There's another accessory that can come with the Analogue Pocket, and that is the dock, the Analogue dock.
You got the dock. You both got the dock, right?
Yeah, both got the dock.
I've been playing on my TV with my Switch Pro controller, and it's just it's like how the Super Game Boy was. Whenever I played one of those,
it basically turns this thing into a Switch. Like I'm playing the game. I'm literally playing the game here. And then I plug it into the dock. It shows immediately on my TV.
Let me see the bottom of that thing. Let me see the ports on that. Can you get up here? Mm-hmm. So is that a USB-C 3.5? It's got a USB-C, a 3.5 headphone jack, which so better than an iPhone. And then it also has this, which is where you can plug a link cable into. Oh, okay.
No,
it's a link cable. So
it's a link cable.
This can connect to other real Game Boys.
Yeah.
So we can be playing Tetris together. We can be trading.
Or did you just continually fuck me over here?
Sorry, buddy. I don't think.
Hey, here's your fucking. You basically cut up a hot dog and said, "Sit at the kids' table," and you gave me this fucking thing. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and talk shit. This thing is fucking awesome. My little Retroid.
Retroid's also.
I one right here.
Yeah.
I got my own.
God damn it, Johnny.
Mine's
you already one-upping me with the Analog. You don't have to pull out your fucking Retroid too. Jesus Christ.
But the Analog, I just think it's a real nice, slick piece of hardware. Now, it does have some downsides. One is the price. It's not a cheap thing. The second is availability.
It costs the same as a Switch, right?
Switch Lite. It's more than a Switch Lite because they upped it to $219.
Yeah, it's not a cheap thing.
These are boutique electronics.
Yeah, and the dock itself will run you another $100.
If you ever say boutique electronics, I will add another 10,000 to the reward of me being nice to you.
It's hobby grade, Bobby. It's a hobby grade video.
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah, that's
fair. I read that in an article somewhere that described. I didn't make that up.
It would have cost you $0 to not repeat it.
And the other problem is availability. Johnny and I orders ours in like March or something.
September 2020.
Yeah, God, it was even further back than that. Jesus Christ. And we just got ours, in the last couple weeks. And they just put out a second run right before, or a pre-order for a second run, like right before we got ours. And
August
those people,
2020. Sorry.
Even worse.
Have you looked to see what these things are going for?
Oh, it's outrageous.
Is it?
Yeah, I feel dirty having one. Like I feel like I should not have it in my home.
It's as what's the right word here? Exploitative as graphics cards.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah. So immediately the pre-orders. I think at this point though, Analog has said like if you pre-order it, you're gonna get one. It's just when are you?
Pre-orders are still open. They're all say 2023.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're
If
still
the earliest you can get one, if you didn't get this first run that we did, it's not going to be until
It's
2023, if not even longer.
Q1. So yeah, it was Q1 2022, Q4 2022, and then just 2023 after that.
Damn.
So
But that's the thing with Analog, though, is that
They're a
they
small company.
are not. They're
They've
a small
always
company.
done
They're
this
not
with their
making
shit.
huge runs of these things. Yeah, and their stuff is really expensive. It's for a very particular audience. And for a guy who runs a handheld video game podcast like I do, I am that particular audience. And
Dude,
and so I'm looking
What
forward
did we
to.
talk about the other night? You and I, when we were. I can't.
We talk about a lot of stuff, Bobby.
I know.
Was this about the murder plot about Johnny? Where we were going to bury the
It was
body?
right after that, actually.
Mhm.
No,
We decided not to bury the body because there wouldn't be any point.
I don't want to derail you too much here, but I told you. So we had a conversation, and I was like, "Look, I'm pretty obsessed with everything, kind of the aura around this product. It's definitely not for me. I don't own any physical cards, and I don't want to start collecting them right now. But out of all the things that have came out since you and I have been friends, I don't think there's been anything that's been more you than this piece of hardware. It's like the most chase ass thing that I can think of.
Yeah,
that's
Probably right.
Let's come around. So like I know that you and Johnny have been like so anxious to get yours, and I'm joking about my Retroid, which that's seriously like one of the best gifts anybody's gotten me. Like it was on the nose for what I wanted, and it's perfect for me to like dabble and play some of these games that you might be experiencing. So if there was ever
And also the Retroid plays way more stuff than what we can play on the
100%.
Like you can play PS1 games on that thing.
yeah,
Right. But the way that thing looks, all the things going around, the hardware of that, it's just really fucking well done. Like that is a mastercraft item. And it is 100%, like we can talk about the price tag on that all day long, but I think it's worth what you're paying for on that. And I'm so pumped that you two got it. And I can't wait to see, like, not that you haven't done a lot with Gamers on the Go, but I think that we've really been challenging a lot of like what even is a handheld system anymore. And I think that,
and I've even said on my show, I think I'm going to try to keep Gamers on the Go more to older games now because that has been a problem going forward. It's like, well, what the hell's a handheld game? Right. I don't even really know myself anymore, so I need to go back to the era when I knew what handheld games were.
And
the Analogue Pocket, I think, is going to really help.
Yeah,
100%.
we've
Something
already
like that.
discussed multiple ideas.
Oh yeah, Johnny. I know Johnny and I will be doing a show at least talking about these Analog Pockets
Jesus,
a little bit
man, I
in
barely
more
get
detail.
him here once a week, and you got him doing some Nuzlocke shit and other things. This guy fucking brushes me off for anything, and here you are
like me.
playing fucking Kirby's Dream Land together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anything else that we need to talk about on the Analog Pocket before we move on here?
I just think it's really nice to be able to have something that can play my game, my own cartridges in my hands, but then to also transfer it to a TV. I have a Retron 5, which I thought was going to do this at one point. Like it's got the Game Boy slot, you plug it in there, it dumps the ROM or something onto the system itself, and then it plays it on the TV. And it just never felt good. It just didn't work the way I wanted it to. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, well, now I've got a laptop and I can hook the HDMI cable up to my laptop and put HDMI out onto the TV, and then I'm basically playing it there. And yeah, that mostly works, but it's a lot of extra cords and it doesn't feel all that great to do. And it's fine, but it's not enough for me to go, ooh, let's do that every night. And then I even had the Retroid, and the Retroid also has an HDMI out.
You're talking about
and you can totally
Saint, right?
like you could also
Retroid.
just plug that into a TV, and it's like, okay, this could work. I could do this as well, and that also wasn't quite what I was looking for. But I think this Pocket is going to be that really easy Switch style thing of, I just plugged it in the dock and it pops right up on the TV, and I'm playing the same game, and it just works. It just works the way I want it to, and that's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Chase, anything else before we continue on down the path of what you've been playing?
I bought an iPad.
Hell yeah. You don't have to steal mine now.
Cool.
I need it. I'm using it right now. So please don't steal it.
Yeah, it was cheap enough. I got it on eBay. I ended up getting a pretty good deal. And it's an iPad Mini 5th generation. Here's what I did. I typed in, what does Fantasian work on? and it was like, oh, iPad Mini 5th generation. I went, fine, I'll just buy that one. That's the one
There
I'll
you
buy
go.
because I know that's the one I
Mhm.
need. So I ended up grabbing one of those. It gets here in the next handful of days, and then I'll play Fantasian, which
Nice.
is the game that I wanted to play basically all of 2021 and didn't get
I
to.
know that you are going to be playing the touchscreen. This is not a paid promotion. None of us are
Mm-mm.
sponsored here whatsoever. But I can't recommend. I've had a few of these, and I've talked about this on the show before. But this here is called the Backbone. It opens up. You can slide your controller or your iPhone into it and play that way. But one of the cool things about it is it's got this pass-through port over here, and this can actually be used on your Switch, your PC. But what I've been using this for, so I just keep one item in my bag now, is if I take the cable, the lightning cable, into my iPad, I basically am just holding this controller and playing on my iPad screen for certain games. And you don't want to do this for everything by any means, but the Backbone fucking rules. It's got some really great software, and if you're looking to add something into that element, this is one that I think is it's the most comfortable. It's got a really great weight to it. I can't recommend this thing enough. So the Backbone rules.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the games I want to play, like the reason I want to play Fantasian on an iPad instead of playing it on my laptop, which I totally could with a controller, I did that for about an hour, and I just didn't like it because Fantasian, I think, it specifically works with a touchscreen really, really nicely. But my phone screen was maybe a little too small for that, so this iPad's going to work out perfect for that. And then after that, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll get back into Claphands Golf.
As you should.
Maybe I'll just go back and play a shit ton of mini motorways. That game kicks ass. And then this will future proof me for other
Yeah, you'll be
Apple
good for a
Arcade
while.
stuff
Yeah.
that might show up. So that's a thing I got kind of on a lark. I got my Christmas bonus and went like, oh, okay, I'll just get an iPad then.
That's
There you
awesome.
go.
All right, there you go.
My
Merry
list,
Christmas to me.
every time I'm
I'll
about to
be
send
right
you,
back, guys.
okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Every time I go to send you the list that I'm working on for you, I end up adding some more things to it.
I believe it.
And I've even put some games on there that I know that you've played, but I think you should revisit on your newer tech. So, Chase, anything else from you before we move on here?
I think that's about it. I'm one of the things, and this kind of goes into something we'll do later in the show, but one of the things I want to do for 2022 is maybe play fewer new games. And
Yeah.
I think something like the Analog Pocket, something like this iPad Mini, those things are going to help me say I'm just going to play a lot more weirder and older stuff. It's not to say I won't play any new games. You'll see. I've got plenty of new games I'm looking forward to in 2022. But I think I want to try to make it a point to play a lot more older and weirder stuff.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm with you there. So let's recap what you talked about tonight. You talked about the DLC for Super Robot Wars 30. You showed off that beautiful new Analogue Pocket of yours. You talked a little bit about where you're at with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And you let us know you got an iPad. And I think those are all really good things. Well, I'll step into the light here and do my best to follow up with those games. Look, boys, I did something really fucking stupid.
You did the most
You-
predictable
you-
Bobby thing I've ever heard.
You started a podcast called The Casual Hour.
That's
I get
one
it.
of the
We've
things.
all made mistakes.
I've had this item in my cart for some time, and I've known what would happen if I clicked buy, it would completely fuck me up. And
You bought Super Robot Wars 32?
I did not.
Wow.
What I did buy, however, is Dyson Spear Program. And
I don't even know if I've heard
oh
of
my
this.
god, I knew it would happen. Fucking knew it, and it did. It happened.
A swallowed whole.
I'm gonna type this name in just because
Whew, I have not.
If you had to take just one guess, what kind of game this was?
Well, okay, actually, no, I totally have seen this game before.
All right. So for anybody who doesn't know, I have an obsession with, I guess, early access is one thing you could look at, but like factory building, sim builders, like not like SimCity's fine, but like I like a factory. Like give me a fucking factory to run. And Dyson Sphere program is
Because you're like the biggest capitalist. Like that's all. That's all
I'm
you. It's like
exploiting
you're
the
just
this one's even crazier. So
regular Rockefeller over there.
yeah, like this one, you actually control a character in third person on this, and you can get really up close and personal with it. But you're in a mech suit, so I thought maybe you two would like this. And I think your name is Mecha, is what they refer to you as.
Well, pretty on the nose, but
So the first thing that
I dig
happens
it.
when you go into it is like it's basically flying you into a planet, and when you go on the planet, there's a handful of resources that you're going to need to harvest out of the world, and then immediately start to put them to work. And some things that I think this game does differently than other games that maybe you're like, well, Bobby, you have this game, why are you not playing that or whatever, is this is all based off of like you're using research points to unlock new things, which is really cool. So there's 2 skill trees in the game. There's one that branches off. There's a main storyline that goes through the skill tree. It's like, hey, this is the main path to completing the game. And that branches off in a bunch of different directions. But for the lack of terminology here, a lot of the research is done by these 3-dimensional cubes that you are creating in the game. The first one is a blue cube, okay? It looks a lot like the Tesseract from the Marvel films, if you're familiar with that. And it's essentially like, hey, you need 200 of these to unlock this next tier. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you can upgrade your suit. So you can increase the speed that you can move over the planet. Now you have a jetpack, so you can actually fly in orbit around your planet to get to the other side of the planet. And the planets sound a lot big. I mean, there's some that are big, but this one that I'm on right now that I started with, and I think where most of them are, think more about Super Mario, and how, what was the one with the planets? Oh my God, why can't I think of that?
Mario Galaxy.
So think about Galaxy, like how you would be moving around the planet in that sense, like it kind of distorts on the edges a little bit. But it's really smart. So you're figuring out ways that you can get these resources that you will cash in on resource management and upgrades. So you can build your factory lines out that go and ultimately net you this cube. Well, then there's red cubes, there's yellow cubes, purple cubes, and these are compounding down. And so certain recipes are like, hey, you need 1,000 or 1,500 red cubes and 800 purple, and that will get you this next piece to it. And what gets really interesting is, and this is where like I haven't ever gone this deep, a little bit on Satisfactory, but I'm really like researching and I'm doing some high level math right now on ratios, where it's like I know that I can produce 600 ore a minute. And if I set up my smelters in a certain way with different timing on it.
You're playing an idle game. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's what you're hearing.
Mm-hmm. You're just watching those numbers go
cookie
up.
clicker with a mech. That's what I'm hearing.
But here's what's fucking crazy. So I didn't realize this is how it was going to play out. But I'm getting pretty far. I'm getting pretty far into it, and there's a guide that, which I like this game. It doesn't really have a story per se, but it's got a really great narrator that'll pop in and be like, hey, you just did this. That's fucking great. You can now do these things. And I'm doing it. And he's like, hey, you can fly. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, this planet, it doesn't have what you need. But that one over there does. And you just take off and you can fly.
You just go to another planet.
And you land on the other planet. And you start the whole fucking thing over again over there, and you have a planet that might have resources, and then you can just hop back in the air and fly back across the galaxy. And here's what's really cool. When you start the game up, there's this thing called the Milky Way. Have you heard of it? We're in it.
I've heard of it.
It's a great candy bar. And so...
It's the best candy bar.
They do like the standard universe view that you would get from like a No Man's Sky, but when you fire up the beginning of the game, you can actually see the Milky Way. Like it's done in a way that lets you explore it, and you can actually like go into things from there, which is really cool. If you are into crafting games, if you are into like really some dense upgrade trees and seeing that collect here and optimization, because one of the things I appreciate is they make you feel pretty good about like, hey, your first go at this is going to look real messy, like bowls of spaghetti messy. It's not going to be pretty. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. So it's a lot of like, well, I got this making it over here, And so I went back to the first plot that I landed on this planet, and I'm looking at like what I initially thought to do versus what I know to do now. And I still have it up and running. Like it's still producing things, but I look at that and I look at where I'm at now, and I'm like, wow, you figured out
This
a
could be
way.
so much more efficient.
Yeah, like you took something that literally took like 100 yards, and you were getting maybe like a handful of resources from it, and now you figured out a way to compact this down and optimize something that's producing like 800 things a second. Like you figured this out in a way of like unlocking shit, and there's something so fucking satisfying about it. And I like being able to move around as this mech. Chase, I can't wait to quick look this game. It'll probably be a mess, but we're gonna do it.
What was the other one of these that we played where it's also a factory builder in a mech, but that one, instead of going to other planets, you kind of like warped to other biomes?
ShipBreaker, and that one was a lot more of like an action RPG where you
that was like more survival stuff where like stuff was attacking your base all the time. Is this one, is it just
completely passive?
Is it just the mining? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is just you like figuring out like, okay, you've got a crude oil spout over here. You've got an area that's going to be iron. You've got copper here. How can you optimize your pathing to bring that over here? And there's some terraforming that you can do too. So it's like, well, I could place some more things here. I can daisy chain thermal. Like I'm researching right now how to create a better power grid because I'm producing so much that the power can't keep up with what I'm putting out. So it's all about like sustaining and finding a way to like harmonize what you're trying to do in a way that's most efficient. And
but also like Riftbreaker, like when you went to those different biomes, it was like, well, this biome I'm getting these specific resources, and then I can take them back to this other biome and use them. And it sounds like instead of biomes, it's just planets. Like, I just hopped over to this planet which has these different kinds of resources, and now I'm mining those as well as the 100%. Ones on my main.
100%.
Okay.
So
cool.
And then there's things that I'm pretty sure I've unlocked this, but like, so whenever you go to do something, a bunch of drones come out of your suit, and the drones are piecing it together. So I've unlocked more drones, but I think that there's a way that I can even get to like interplanetary travel with like resources to where I can set up like these beacons that will essentially move stuff back and forth between. So
I was going to ask if that was a thing you could do, because I read it said it was like an interplanetary factory builder, and so that's like a whole other thing to figure out.
You're building this like Dyson sphere around a planet, so eventually you're going to build this thing out to where you have this sphere that goes around it. And yes, Johnny, that you will be using planets the same way that you would use plots of lands on a planet. Like it just keeps going bigger. And
you're
bigger
starting at like almost a very micro level, and just working your way backwards until you
barely can move.
Like a whole solar system.
I was pretty turned off when I first played. I'm like, man, this fucking mech is a slog. And then I saw the tree. I'm like, oh, well, it's supposed to be. And so like you go from barely being able to keep pace, just walking between things, to I'm flying to other planets now. And you can customize the colors of your mech too, which I think is really neat. Like it's fucking cool, man. Like I knew this would happen. I knew it would happen. I knew it would happen, and it did, and I'm so happy it did.
How much does it run?
I think it's like
it's
$20
on sale for $16 right now.
Yeah, I think it's a $20 game.
So it has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam.
It's so good, man.
It's sitting at 97% positive with over 50,000 reviews.
I'm doing this weird thing again, y'all, where I'm playing one of these games in conjunction with Hardspace ShipBreaker, which it's just the same.
Now that's a video game.
Man, they just had their biggest update come out. So this is just my checking in on Hardspace ShipBreaker until it hits 1.0 update. They introduced 2 new ships. They've got a new tug variant and an Atlas variant. I think that they were calling this update the Atlas Tugged, which is a very good name. This ship,
that's really good.
It's real good. They introduced a story mode to it, and I think they've unlocked a little bit more of that. And there's some interesting things going on with the unionization of Hardspace, and like what that, like you've got somebody who's proposing unions, and
okay, so they're getting a little
there's some cool stuff there for sure.
I mean, there's some very overt like themes and things happening just in the subtext, but
But it's really cool to see their confidence as a team growing, because it's like a 20 to 30 person team on like what risks they're taking on ship design and how they're bringing that into it. And so like one of the new ships is actually like a multiple level ship. And there's some really amazing things that they're doing with how you crack open some of this stuff, which again, like figuring out the most efficient way to destroy something is really cool. Versus like I could just blow this whole fucking thing up and be done with it, but finding a way to finesse tearing apart a ship, it's a very interesting thing that it does to me, where I'm spending so much time building something to be the most efficient thing it can be. And in my mind, these ships were that at one point in time, and now I'm figuring out a way to dismantle them. And so
And salvage as much
what
of
I'm
it as you
describing
can.
to you is
every
a
part of the
coping
buffalo
mechanism for depression. And it's wonderful, and it's made me feel really good while being very depressed. And yeah,
Good to have that stuff.
it's been really nice to have that game be something that I can put a podcast onto and just unwind and break the ship apart. It's great, and I've gotten so much more efficient at certain things, while having new ships come in has to make me like find new approaches with it. But Hardspace ShipBreaker is a game that, you know, we quick looked a long time ago, or at least I think I quick looked like a long time ago. I've streamed it.
You've definitely done some streams.
Yeah. I think that maybe I'll fire up a stream sometime in the future with this to show off a few of the new things, just to check in, because I really like what that game's doing, and it's fucking great. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. And it's apparently still coming to consoles at some point too.
PlayStation and Xbox
1.0 it'll
Yep.
return. So that'll be cool. I'm kind of looking forward to that.
All right. Got one more game to talk about. It's a surprise game.
Is it Super Robot Wars 30?
No, I'm playing that, but building things. It's called Dyson Sphere Program. It's $16.99 on Steam right now.
Wait, what?
If you're looking for a mech game,
because there's mechs.
Okay, that's like, am I having a stroke? Like, didn't we just talk about this?
I am playing a game called Demeo, Demeo, and
okay,
I am playing this on my Oculus Quest 2, and I will tell you right now, this is single-handedly the coolest VR experience I have ever had. More so than Super Hot.
I mean, Super Hot exists though,
dude. This is incredible, absolutely incredible. This game came out early in 2021 or mid 2021, and it is a tabletop dungeon crawling RPG that you can play with 3 other people. The game is set up in somebody's basement, and you can interact with this board. You have 5 different characters to choose from. Your basic dungeon crawling classes: warrior, mage, rogue, warlock, all that.
There's a bard.
There is a bard.
Hell yeah.
And a few things that work really well here. So this is the first time I've ever done a co-op multiplayer experience also in VR. So I'm playing this with my cousin, and like, this is such a weird thing to say out loud because it's going to come across like very exaggerated, but it really felt like I was hanging out with my cousin playing a board game. Like, it felt like we were in person playing this board game together. And
yeah, I've been toying with the idea of getting a Quest or some sort of VR headset ever since I got rid of my PSVR last year, and this is not making it easier to continue resisting that, because it sounds extremely cool.
It is.
Now, Bobby, can you explain to me? You said like you're playing co-op with your cousin. So, is the game actually doing like the dungeon mastering for you, and you're just playing it, or is this an experience where like somebody is the dungeon master and you guys are just playing like a VR version of D&D?
It's a great question. So that actually is being handled by the game, and the way that they do this is that I think that there's like, let's call them episodes. They're not really episodes, but I think there's like 5 or 6 of those right now. And when you
like a scenario,
yeah. So when you load the scenario, the kind of hub that you're in, there's a locked door and everybody's in there, and you can move your pieces around. And then once you put a piece on the door, it unlocks and goes into the actual setting. But above the door, there's a booklet, and you can grab the booklet and flip through the pages. And it's a quick, it's like 3 or 4 pages of, hey, here's this scenario, right? Here's the story of what the Rat King, here's what the Rat King's doing, and here's what you're going to be experiencing. Here's
Love that gun in Destiny too. It's a great gun.
Yes. So then you go into it, and there's about 8 or 9 points of interest on the board that you can get to. The area that you're in is highlighted. The rest of the board is dark. You can use your hands to grab the board. I can lift the board up and down. So I play this stationary, which is great.
Can you flip the board?
You can flip the board, like Breath of the Wild. The Rat King is so fucking good, by the way. Like that gun and this dungeon, both really good. So you load it in, and the UI of this game, I think, is really fucking spectacular. So you're moving your piece around on the board, and you can pick it up and move it. Like you grab it like you would playing a normal game. If you flip up your left hand, like you're looking like you would be holding cards, your cards fan out in the game, and you can grab your card and move it, and it's really fucking good. On your wrist over here, so I can just glance at my wrist, and it tells me the turn order. So like each turn you have 2 moves, and it shows, okay, it's your turn, you have 1 move left, next up is your cousin, and then it's the enemy phase. So I can see this going around my wrist while I'm looking at it. And then there's a dice that you can pick up, and you can throw the dice on the board, and it's 3 things. It's either attack, crit, or miss. And so it's based off of those, and each one of the things that you're doing, your base attack would be like, I'm going to do 3 damage. I can do, so I've been playing a lot as an archer in this, which is a different class than I would play in other games, but it's worked really well here. And what I like about the archer is that the arrow maneuver. So if you do a melee attack, you pull an arrow out and stab, which is really fun. But you can shoot across the board, and those 2 cards are on cooldown. So I could shoot 2 arrows per turn, and they're going to cool down for the next turn. But you can pick up consumable cards, like I can do a hail of arrows, where I will be throwing down like a 6x6 radius of arrow attacks, and that's going to do multiple damage. There's elemental things. And then you're collecting coins in the dungeon. And so it's a run-based situation. So as you get deeper into the dungeon, each one has a main boss as a key that unlocks the next level. Their health is usually like 24 compared to most standard foes being anywhere from 2 to 8. So once you get the key, you can go progress further into the dungeon, but there's a buying period that takes place afterwards. So cards that you have in your hand, you can hold up to 11 cards. You can buy new cards. They can be health potions. They can be summon an elemental. It can be specific things to your class. And you can also sell your cards at this time and really load your deck up. So like if I was playing a bard, I'd probably maybe pack in some more healing cards or some buff cards versus something that would be more attack forward. It's really fucking cool how they do this. And so one of the things that I found myself doing was just like finding strategy with my cousin on like, okay, I'm going to have you over here, and like, you're going to roll the dice. I'm going to try and back you up on it. I can pick you up. There's a healing fountain once per dungeon level that will bring you back up to your full health. And if one person gets to it, both of you get it. So like we would split up at times. You can play this solo, by the way. And when you do that, you control up to 4 characters on your own. And so it's...
Oh, cool. I was going to ask how it works if you're playing by yourself.
You can play this completely by yourself, which is it's very serviceable, and it's not bad. This game is challenging. It will fuck you up pretty quickly. So you can't...
Yeah, you've mentioned something about that, but kept it kind of vague. So right. I was hoping you could go into more detail.
I did something on this game that I wish I was recording so bad. My cousin and I got to the 2nd level of the dungeon, and we were doing really good. Like we were feeling pretty confident because we came out of a tough spot, and we get into this area, and all of a sudden, like this elf wizard comes out, and then it spawns like 3 other minions. I'm like, fuck, how are we gonna get through this? Because that's like 4 people. And then behind it, a fucking cave troll comes out with an HP of 24, and this thing is just towering.
I have a cave troll.
This cave troll's so fucking big. It's like an elephant riding a peanut. Like, it's massive. And then there's 2 other slimes that show up, but I got a fucking card. I got a card that lets me for 3 turns take control and basically...
Sure.
So I'm looking I'm looking right at this fucking cave troll. I'm like, motherfucker, you join the team. You're joining up with us. I'm going to fucking get this cave troll on my team, and he's going to wipe all these fuckers out. So I'm like shaking, literally shaking in my VR headset because I'm so excited about what's going on. My cousin's freaking out. He doesn't know I have this card. So I reach to my card. I grab it. I drop it on the troll. And all of a sudden, my character starts to go up in the air. I'm like, what the fuck? And I look at my heart. I played the teleportation card.
Oh, no!
I go across the fucking map into this pile of enemies. Now, one of the other things I did before it was I casted invulnerability on me for 2 turns because I knew it was coming. So I go into this fucking pile of meat, and the meat starts beating me, and I don't take any damage, and Jason's crying.
Okay. Yeah, this is sounding fine.
It's working out great. So I'm like, Jason, I'm going to redeem myself. I fucking drop the card on the troll, and the troll gets a heart above its head. And dude, it just starts picking shit up and wrecking it. And it's just my little archer fucking shooting things, and this troll picking things up off the board. I'm crying inside of my fucking headset, laughing at what's going on. I Leroy Jenkins the shit out of that troll and didn't even mean to do it. And it was easily one of the best moments, man. It was such a cool game. Here's the really cool thing. I talked to Johnny about this already, Chase, because I was wanting to tell you about the game as a surprise tonight. There's a way that I can cast my headset to a website through Oculus.
Okay.
And I think I've got it all figured out for Sunday morning. We're going to record a quick look of me doing this in VR, and you and Johnny are going to be there hanging out, watching it. And we'll have that posted hopefully next week. But I think I got it figured out to where we can do a quick look at this. It is one of the coolest fucking things ever. It is such a cool thing. Demeo. I fucking love it.
Have you played D&D before, or just like a tabletop game in real life?
No, I've always wanted to.
Okay. Because I would wonder how much it feels like that experience.
I have to imagine that there's some things here that are really, really cool. It's probably like looked at as like kitty gloved at times, like because it's pretty on the rails. Like, hey, these are already predetermined dungeons. You're going to run through the outside of teleporting yourself into a cave troll's ass. Like there's not a lot of things that can happen there.
D&D has very like things like that. Like they have books that have explicit scenarios laid out. It's not always a thing that the DM comes up with themselves. But I would guess the rules, like, you have a movement and you have an action. Or maybe you can move and then move a little further and then your turn's over.
Yeah, I mean, you can play D&D in so many different ways. And it seems like maybe the more rigid way to play D&D is kind of what this is doing, where it has specific cards and actions and things you can do. That would play a little bit more into something like D&D that way. But then I've also played it in the way of like, hey, if you can like tell me a good story as you're doing it, and people can just kind of, because you're playing a tabletop thing with your friends, you can cut in whenever you want and just talk about stuff. And I had a DM who was like, if you tell me a good enough story about what you're doing and what you think you're gonna accomplish here, I might give you just bonus points to your rolls because it's cool for the story. So let's see how it works. Which is something that this game can't do exactly on the fly, but you're also getting a more curated experience, and that's kind of cool. So how many scenarios did you say there were right now?
I think there's like 5 or 6. One other thing I'll call out, actually 2 other things I'll call out. One, the game has crossplay with other VR headsets, which I think is really interesting. So if you buy this on Steam and you're using like a Vive or something, you can play with people on Oculus, which is awesome.
That's cool.
The other thing too is that there are unlockable skins. So there is an HP system. So even if you get your fucking ass handed to you on a run, you're still getting XP points that go into unlocks for your character, but also for you. So in the game, when you see people at the table with you, you see their face. So think of like the face and inscription out. It's just a mask floating, and then hands. So you can do like different gloves. You can do different faces. And the dice. You can do a skin for the dice that you throw, or the die that you throw in here. So there's some cool
Have they also talked about DLC, or are they going to keep making more predetermined scenarios?
I don't know. I think this game is actually taking off pretty big. People are pretty pretty hot on it for what it is.
Nice.
I would imagine so. So I can't wait to show it to you too. I know it's a big ask. I wish there was a way that we could all play it. I know it's not going to happen, but God, it would be so much fun to have something like this. Is just so cool to do.
Yeah, I've already bought a bunch of dumb hardware in the last.
Yeah, I know. I totally get it.
2 weeks. Yeah.
All
right.
That's what I've been up to. Sorry for the long-winded one, but it's just I'm really excited about it.
And Johnny's been playing the best narrative of the year, from what I'm seeing.
And so far, I think I might agree with that.
Okay.
I have been playing Guardians of the Galaxy on the PS5.
It's better than it has any right to be, man.
I had zero interest in this game whatsoever. But one of my friends that I do game sharing with on PS5 said, I told him, like, hey, if you buy this game, I'll drop you $10. Because he's planning on buying it anyway. He was waiting for it to go on sale. It was on sale for $40. So I was like, I'll drop you 10. I'll make it 30 for you. And it's completely subverted whatever expectations I had. I've laughed out loud several times at some of the lines and things that the different characters have said. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, I never saw Volume 2. I need to amend that, but it was one of the Marvel MCU films that I enjoyed more than other ones. So I liked the characters, I liked the tone that they were going for, I guess you could
Mario
say.
in it.
It does have Mario in it. And this, I don't know how they did it, but unlike whenever I saw the first screenshots for the Avengers game that came out, playing this, like, they somehow found a way to thread that needle and make it feel like similar in vein to what the movies were like, but also it feels very much like its own thing. Like, this is adapting from the comic books, and these are the same characters.
James Gunn's vision,
yeah,
but not those characters directly. Like it's riffing off of that style quite a bit, but it's not.
And you can, yeah, exactly. Like, you can get an outfit for all of your characters that is the outfit that they wore in that movie. So I can make Groot look like Groot did in the movie.
You can make him look like Vin Diesel.
Exactly.
Like, wait, doesn't he still just look like a plant man?
He does.
I mean, Vin
but
Diesel, I think, has other features.
Yeah,
but...
exactly. Yeah, I know, Bobby, you talked about this game. I think, like, the writing and the voice acting and everything it's doing with the narrative has a lot of heart. It, like I said, it's made me laugh. Like, we're on this planet, and in a video game, if there's two paths, you go down both paths, because even though one of them isn't the direct way you need to go, there's going to be something down there for you to get.
Yeah, you go halfway down one path, and if you feel like, oh wait, that's the right path, then you go back to the other one.
You turn around.
Yep.
And so I'm like, okay, well, Rocket's saying that there's nothing down this way, so I'm gonna go down here because I know there's a collectible of some kind. And as you're going, you hear him calling to you. It's like, hey, idiot! I told you there's nothing back there. What the hell are you doing? Quit wasting our time. Like, little things like that. Like, a lot of idle dialogue and stuff that comments on the way that you're playing the game. But it's done in a way that is amusing and not necessarily like feeling like annoying fourth wall breaking.
I think that it's a game that could easily be annoying in its humor. And I think video games that are set out to be funny, for me, usually don't land.
It usually does not land. Comedy
it's extremely hard. Yeah. Like the timing, because timing is just so weird in video games because you have control.
Exactly.
But I think the ribbing that you hear between characters, and I think that, like, even like if I'm walking around my ship, a conversation that could be happening in a room that I'm not even involved with, like, I'll hear and I'll be like, God, that's fucking good. Like, Drax fucking rules in this game. His writing
Drax is so great.
So good.
complimenting Gamora and also calling her a harlot in the same sentence. Like,
Very on brand.
Look, Chase, I'm not saying you should go out and buy this game, but
I mean, I can't. I'm so exhausted by Marvel and superhero
so was I.
stuff. I did go watch Spider-Man. I watched the new Spider-Man. It was fine. But man, I just can't. I can't
get it.
anymore.
I think that's fair. But
I'm tapped out.
I think it's a shame that this came out after the Avengers game because it's probably has soured a lot of people, like the taste in people's mouths about a Marvel video game. Because this absolutely, I think, would deserve a sequel, and it probably won't happen because
like Square Enix is going to go like, oh, those Western developers, they bungled it again. It's like, no, that's okay.
Yeah. So not a whole lot more to say beyond that. I like the combat. Combat's fine. Like it's definitely the weakest part of it, but it's not fun. Like I'm still having a good time while I'm fighting monsters, but I'm really there to hear these conversations between the characters and to see how the main story plays out because it's got me ensnared. Like I haven't been able to tear myself away from my pocket since I got it last week. I've been playing a lot of stuff on that.
Because you've got one hand on your pocket and the other one's playing Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I would say if you can find this game on sale, which it's been on sale a lot since it came out.
It was deeply discounted.
Yeah, it was like $30 over Thanksgiving, or 26. So I don't know if you have ever enjoyed those movies. I think it's absolutely worth checking out. Like if you like Marvel stuff,
I would say, Johnny, even if you don't like the movie, the game's worth checking out.
Sure. Yeah. I could see this being a game with gold or a PS Plus game somewhere down the line.
I think that's a very fair observation. Johnny, you talked about your Analogue Pocket earlier with Chase.
Yep.
Talked a little bit about Guardians of the Galaxy. Is there any other games that you wanted to talk about?
No, I am doing my own Nuzlocke run on Leaf Green for the Game Boy Advance, and it's kind of killed any desire and momentum I had to play more Brilliant Diamond because I'm having such a better time with this. Like, it's just there's actual challenge to it. I'm not just steamrolling everything. I love the art style, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the only other thing. That's what I put the most time into on my Pocket, but I've been playing a lot of the other games that I have as well.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the passion around the Pocket that you both shared. I can't wait to hear more about that and see what you all do with it. Guardians continues to sound like a huge delight and surprise for 2021. I did not recap myself, but I talked about Dyson Sphere Program, Hardspace, ShipBreaker, and Demeo. And as we wrap up the What You've Been Playing segment of tonight's show, we're going to look back first at some of the things that we felt worked well this year and maybe some things that we would do differently, especially now that we are streaming and doing more video content over on YouTube as well. So how do you all want to kick this off?
I mean, we've talked about it before. I was pretty skeptical about us getting into streaming to begin with. This is not how I thought I wanted our podcast to go. And since we've done it, I was still pretty hesitant about it. But now I think I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm still kind of sticking to my guns that I don't want to stream video games by myself. That's not a thing I want to do. But I've gotten into the idea of recording stuff and putting it up later, and then being on streams with you and watching you play games or play stuff co-op or multiplayer while we do streams. That stuff's been a lot of fun, and I'm kind of looking forward to some more stuff that we can play on streams and show off with chat here.
Yeah,
and I'm also surprised and humbled by how many people have come through our streams over the course of this last year and said hi and actually kept up with the show and participated. That's been really, really cool.
Yeah,
it's a strange thing for me.
Well, I mean, I look back at when we started the podcast, it's like I had a desire but no intuition on like how to do it. And I did not know anything about streaming when I convinced you two to do it. And
You've really grown this year, I would say, as a person, just from the amount of technology you've had to learn and things that you've built, and you both have become dirty PC people now.
yeah.
And it's been an interesting transformation to watch from the sidelines here.
Yeah, the production aspect of it I find pretty fascinating, and it's allowed me to tap into a part of my life that like I thought was kind of over with like the design stuff. You know, that's what I went to school for. That's what I did for a career for a while, and so like being able to bring some of that stuff back out has been fun. But it's also like you mentioned it, Chase. Like, you know, when we started the stream, like we didn't have shit. Like we got affiliated this year, which is pretty wild in our first year of doing this, and our show's always, you know, had some waves to it, but the podcast has been somewhat successful as a podcast goes. And, you know, our stream, it's such a saturated thing. And like, I think it's important to note also that we're not looking for ways out of our current commitments in life.
Yeah, we're not trying to make this our day job.
It's something that like my belief on anything in life is like, if I'm going to put time and energy into something, like I want to do it the best that I can. Like that's my belief on like things that I'm really passionate about. Like I'm very passionate about. So like for me, it's more of like I really want to give something my all when I do it. And so when I look at the stream, you know, there's been nights that we stream to nobody, and like that's okay. And like there's been nights that we stream to a bigger group, and that's cool too. But like the people that have been there, to your point, that have come through to share insights or laughs with us or say hi has like been really nice in a period.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a little bit, but like in a period where like it's been hard to go out and say hi to people. It's been nice to have that sense of community, I think, for the stream. And so I'm thrilled with what we've accomplished there. And this is not supposed to be like some self-congratulatory victory lap, but it is something where it's
Pat yourself
like,
on the back. Good job.
like we started talking about the podcast as a way to like share video games, learn about video games, and meet cool people. Like that was what we talked about.
You and I sitting in this room I'm in right now.
Yeah.
Two shitty $10 microphones from Amazon. Talking about The Witcher 3 for way too long.
Not even knowing who Chase was.
Glad I missed those podcasts.
But I think that when we look at like what we were able to do with moving to the stream, it allowed us to see each other a lot more than we had been. It allowed us to have more reasons to hang out when it was hard to do so, and the people that are here, it's really cool. So I think looking back, like I'm still learning a lot about how this all works and how to be better about it. One thing that I would love to do, and it's weird because like when I look to like grow and do things on like, how do I do this on my channel? Like, how do I add this stuff into it? Man, it's usually here. Like you see people that are so popular at what they're doing, right? Like they're at the top of their game. This is a thing for them. And I look at like, I'd love to help people learn how to stream, I guess. And like, I'm not great at it, and it's a situation where like, if I can help other people find ways to put together just the technical aspects of a stream, it can really help you meet some cool people, and it can really help you learn about new games. And I will just say with it, like, I think that there's a lot of boundaries that can come and get crossed. Like when you're putting yourself out there, you're in a very vulnerable state. So like, I want to acknowledge that. And I understand that everybody has differing levels of comfort and anxiety when it comes to these types of things. Like even all of us, like we've talked about, like, I don't really want to do that. Like even I don't want to stream games by myself. Best advice I read online when I was looking to, because Mondays and Fridays were originally just going to be me playing games. Like I had convinced these two guys to show up once a week just for the show. And they've been awesome. And Chase has been with me on Mondays and Johnny's been with me on Fridays, and we mix that up sometimes. But they said, if you can, call somebody when you're on stream and just have a conversation going with somebody. That way you're talking to somebody that you know while you're playing a game to get that rhythm down. And I think that's great advice. So that would be, I want to help other people do that too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about going forward here. You mentioned Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shows, and I think that's going to continue. I think Bobby and I, we've been having a ton of fun with Casual Mondays. and keeping those to these kind of turn-based strategic style games. I think we might start to expand that definition a little bit for Casual Mondays, and we'll look for other game types, maybe some more stuff that we can play together, because that's been really fun when we can play things. I certainly love to backseat video game Bobby, and Bobby has not told me to stop doing it yet. Which
is this a way for you
me.
just to get more Destiny streams in?
No, not necessarily. I'd like to play other things that are not Destiny. In fact, I actively want to play things that aren't Destiny.
Yeah.
But I know Destiny will always be there. But yeah, I think we can expand our horizons and play some other different kinds of
There will be
video
no
games.
restrictions on Casual Mondays to the types of games that you will see Chase and I covering.
But I still think there will probably be a preponderance of turn-based strategy
100%.
style games, because that's just what we really like right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So
the other thing too is with that we're going to rebrand Fridays to fall in line with. So we'll have Casual Mondays and Casual Fridays. That's what we'll refer to our video game streams as. So Casual Mondays has been the name, and then like Bites and Tight Spaces, whatever it was after that. So we've had that going on, but Mondays and Fridays will be a chance for us to hang out with each other or friends, or sometimes just me, to play a video game or games with you all. So I think that's something you can expect for the road ahead. And I'm excited about the opportunity that Chase mentioned of opening that door with him to play a few more things together, because it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, Bobby mentioned one game that we could play together that got me extremely excited. I don't know if that's something we want to reveal right now, but
go for it.
When we I think we're gonna play the co-op of Portal 2.
Hell yeah.
Which is something I played back in college and had a hell of a fun time. It's one of my favorite video game experiences I've ever had. But it was all
is so good.
It's so good. I actually want to go back and play regular Portal 2, just to hear more Cave Johnson.
You're talking
but
about, you're like, we should beat a game or play a game start to end on like.
I mean, we've had some kind of stops and starts on Casual Mondays. We were searching for some stuff. We started the Banner Saga, and that didn't end up working so well for our purposes. I have no problem with that game. It wasn't working for what we were doing on Casual Mondays. And then we've played a lot of run-based games like Monster Train or Fights in Tight Spaces that don't really have an ending per se. So I think it'd be fun. We've also been playing Stardew Valley, and I think we will go back to the farm at some point and test that out. But I'd like to play something that we actually get through and finish and have as a series that we can go back to and say, like, hey, these 4 Mondays we played Portal 2 or whatever, and we can have those and go. People can look back and watch us play Portal 2. I think that would be fun.
And Johnny, do you want to tease what? Not this Friday because we're taking it off for New Year's Eve, but we're starting a series next Friday on Casual Fridays.
We're gonna head on down to Bob and John's factory town in Satisfactory.
The Bob and John factory town.
All right, I'm looking forward. I might jump in the chat for some of that.
And I think I have also convinced both of you that we should probably play through at least one of the Halo campaigns together.
Whether it's on stream or whether it gets recorded or even if it's just me playing it by myself, one of my kind of resolutions for next year, I want to go back and play all of the Bungie Halo campaigns. And it'd be cool if you guys were there for some of that, but I would. That's just something I know I'm going to do at some point this year is play through all those. I still don't think I really care about Halo Infinite all that much, but I do kind of miss I think it really was playing Destiny 2 and getting the Forerunner sidearm and going like, oh fuck, Halo was good, wasn't it?
If we time it out right, we could probably end up getting somewhere close to when Infinite hits multiplayer, and we all have ways to play that.
Yep.
So something to think about. We talked about that. We've got a few plans there. One of the things that we do have, and we haven't talked too much about this as a team, but I know that we've talked a little bit about it, and I don't know how much we'll do with it, but like there's talks of at least opening up the Discord a little bit more. Like I don't think the Discord will ever be something incredibly active for us because it's just hard to keep up with all that stuff already. That overwhelms the shit out of me. But we are talking about opening up our Discord a little bit more to talk about games when we're not streaming them as well, because it's sometimes hard. I think selfishly, it's hard sometimes for me to be as engaged with people while I'm streaming and playing a game as it would be to maintain a conversation, or like, hey, check out this article, or Johnny, I know that you write, so maybe like if there's ever any chance that you can share some stuff there, that would be kind of cool too. And I know that like Chase, in the past, you've done some really awesome creative writing. And I thought about setting up a segment on our Discord, because like we don't have a website for that. Like, could we have something on Discord that's more focused on like sharing creative writing or things like that we do? So things like that we're kicking around. So keep an eye out. Discord might become a little bit more active just for staying in talks with one another, which would be cool. The other thing that I wanted to bring up that I'm very passionate about exploring and doing here is getting involved in some charity streams. It's something that I've always liked to tune into. It's something that I really believe in the cause behind, and I think that we have gotten to a place now with our show that we could do a few different things for that. So hopefully in the future you'll see us doing some things for Extra Life and other causes we believe in here at the Casual Hour, but that's something that I'd like to see us implement more of in the future. Speaking, anything else that we need to talk about, like just for the show itself or quick looks?
Not that I can think of.
The YouTube channel has done really well this year also. We've done a lot of cool things like putting out the quick looks. We usually do those on Tuesdays and Thursdays and post those directly to YouTube. So you can check those out.
I think similar to what I mentioned before of wanting to play more older and weirder stuff. I think I would like to have more quick looks that also look at older, weirder stuff rather than always just feeling like we need to play the most current stuff. Like we'll definitely do some of that as well. I mean, we're not getting away from it, and that's been fun. But I think this is also an opportunity for us to play some stuff that maybe is more things that we're passionate about and can show off to our friends and show off to you guys. And that is something I would like to kind of push for as well. To not always feel like we need to be on the cutting edge, because that is, we've talked about the podcaster's dilemma before of like always feeling like you need to have something in your pocket to talk about, and that's just
slow down and
video games come out all the time. Yeah, absolutely. Or go back and try a food that you never had before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
so there's a lot of good video games out there. Heck yeah, I want to get some chicken thighs. But yeah,
So why don't we do this? Why don't we transition over as we're looking in this crystal ball? We talked offline about what if we had to pick like our top 10 for next year without playing any of these games.
Like one of my favorite things we do in our preview episodes is we make our picks for the month, and then the next month
we find out how very wrong we are.
Yeah, and because I'm the one who reads that stuff, I feel like I get to skewer you guys, and that's a lot of fun for me. And then I also get to skewer myself because I make bad decisions all the time.
Yep.
So yeah, Bobby was kind of thinking, well, what if we got that for like a full year? Let's look into our crystal balls, take wild ass guesses at what we think might be our top 10 games of 2022, and then at this time next year, we can look back and go, God, we're fucking idiots.
Yeah, like, you know, I
like, Bobby, you actually thought Breath of the Wild 2 was going to come out in 2022? You silly boy.
I actually thought that Cyberpunk was going to be my game of the year. Like, that's the
one.
Or die. Yeah, I know, Johnny. We fucking bought that game for Chase. We bought him that game. Chase, do you just want to read, like, kind of at a decent speed through your 10, and then we can talk a little bit about
Yeah, I think so. I was actually surprised at how many games I put on here. I was looking through all the games that were coming out, and I ended up with a list of about 20 things. And wow, that's kind of nuts. I didn't expect to have this many things on the list. But I'll go through the 10. One I just added tonight because I forgot that it's been in early access and it'll probably get 1.0 in 2022, and that's Hardspace ShipBreaker. I think that's if that comes to PS4 or PS4, PS5, I will totally play that and probably really enjoy it. So 10, Hardspace ShipBreaker. 9, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. 8, Triangle Strategy. 7, Digimon Survive. Maybe. We'll see. 6, Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. 5, Ooblets. 4, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. 3, Temtem. 2, Trek to Yomi. And I think my number one, I mentioned it on the Game of the Year show. That I think that's going to be Metal Slug Tactics.
Nice. That's a solid list. I'm, as we have become more aligned, my list used to be kind of a copy of Johnny, but I think now my list has become this homogenized version of the two of you, which is interesting.
Yes.
So I'll start with 10 myself because I'm a tactics man now, a card man. I deal in cards, Chase. I got Midnight Suns, which I think is going to be really fucking slick. Marvel stuff aside,
man.
I think
awesome.
I think it's going to be cool. I've got 9, a little game about a little devil inside. After that, at 8, I have Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, or Hop, I think. And then
I think it's Hope.
Hope.
I thought that would have been higher on your list because you really liked that first game.
I really like that first game, but I also really like Ooblets, which is number 7, and I really like Temtem, which is number 6. I really like Hardspace ShipBreaker, which is number 5. I love Satisfactory, which is number 4. And I loved God of War, which is number 3 for Ragnarok. And number 2 is Horizon Forbidden West. And number 1 is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.
You really think that's coming out this year?
I think Zelda for sure is coming out this year.
Yeah.
I think I think if any of my top 3 is on the cutting room floor, it's God of War.
Zelda doesn't even have a name yet.
It does.
It does not.
We just don't know what it is yet.
That name is not going to be Breath of the Wild 2.
No,
it's going to come out holiday of next year. Is what I guess.
I think it's going to be called The Legend of Zelda: The Fall of Ganon.
Okay. So you just want to be extra wrong then?
I'm going to be wrong. Let me be extra wrong. I'm going to ponder the Triforce for a bit tonight and think about it and see what I can come up with.
Oh, man.
Johnny, what do you got?
For number 10, this is hopeful because I have not enjoyed the recent output, but I put Starfield as number 10. I think that game could potentially be really incredible.
It could be. I almost put it on my list.
If it works.
Number 9, Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. Number 8, Pokemon Legends Arceus. 7, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. 6, Metal Slug Tactics, a game I am also very excited for. Number 5, and even if it comes out next year, it's maybe supposed to, Final Fantasy 16. Number 4, Horizon Forbidden West. Number 3, God of War Ragnarok. Number 2, Elden Ring. And number 1, Breath of the Wild 2.
Really quick, Johnny.
Yeah.
How good was that last video for Horizon with the fucking snake?
Dude, that game...
you don't have to like Horizon, okay? Like, that's fine if you don't like it, but just the sheer genius of, like, how do you make that snake, all those pieces moving, the way that they designed that thing is insane. Fucking cool. It is so cool looking.
I have some trepidations about the story, because I don't know how they can make the story better than it was in the first game, but as far as, like, gameplay and enemy design, like, I can tell they know how much pressure is on them to deliver something that is just as, if not better than,
fucking
the first game.
Man. I can't wait.
So I'm really excited for that. You guys know how much I love FromSoft, how excited I am for Elden Ring. But Breath of the Wild, maybe my favorite game ever. depending on the day you ask me. Breath of the Wild 1. So there's no way I could not
People are still
pin
finding
that
things out about that
with
game.
the ropes. Yeah, man, it's
wild.
It's incredible.
Breath
And
of
God of
the
War
Wild.
2018 made me care about a character that prior to I could not have cared less about. And like
And
the
you've
story it
just
told.
been living with a son who doesn't like you either for some time now,
Exactly.
so it's very relatable.
Exactly.
I did want to make a couple of observations and maybe a couple shout outs for things that didn't quite make the list. Johnny was the only one who had Pokemon Legends Arceus coming out next month on his list.
Optimistic.
I'm pretty pessimistic about that, but I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
Do you think there'll be another stream or treehouse or anything like that before?
Oh, there's got to be something.
I don't think so. Like this, the game comes out in like late January,
January
right?
28th, I think.
Yeah, I think that game's going to come out.
I bet they have like a 5-minute. Like they did that for Brilliant Diamond.
They've been doing like little things, like showing off like a new Pokemon here or there, a new variant of these.
Maybe they don't want to show off much as little of that game as possible.
Could be. Bobby, you had Little Devil Inside. That was like my number 11. I think that game's going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, like I imagine Digimon Survive is going to disappoint me if it even comes out next year. And if it does, like I think Little Devil Inside is the one that probably takes that spot. Also, smaller game. Bobby and I did a quick look of this when it first showed up on the Steam Next Fest, like as a demo thing. I'm really excited for Whisker Squadron, which is that Star Fox alike indie Star Fox. I think that's probably just going to end up being a little small thing, but I think it'll be a small fun thing. That'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's also a Destiny 2 expansion. We're all aware there will still be more Destiny.
That one's like
but it's
Lightbringer, right, or something like that.
Well, the Witch Queen is the one that's coming out next. Yeah. And this has been the biggest length of time between two Destiny seasons. So presumably they've had more time to work on it and do more stuff. We've seen some of that stuff, like the Hive now have ghosts themselves and have light powers, and that'll be interesting to see how that affects some of the gameplay. That'll be kind of cool. A game that I had at my number 10 slot for a while, and then kind of learned a little bit more about it. Went, no, maybe not. Is Arc Raiders, which was shown at the Game Awards.
It looks really good. Do you not like it anymore?
Well, it's like third person Monster Hunter-y kind of thing, except the monsters are actually robots, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem too bad. And then I read a little bit more about it, and it's free to play, and I went, oh.
I think I'm gonna really like that one. The one that I
might really like it, but also if it's free to play, then I think it's probably not going to be.
I thought you might be into that Rumbleverse game. I
need to check that out.
The grappling wrestling one.
I thought it looked dumb, but I've heard people talk pretty positively about it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, I like the themes. I'm not a battle royale guy. It's not my kind of thing at all.
Whipped is asking you if does that mean more Destiny to grind together?
Oh, absolutely. We will definitely be grinding Destiny.
We should have Whipped hang out with us on stream when we do some Destiny sometime.
That'd be great. Also, two non-2022 games that are getting ports in 2022 that I'm pretty excited about. One is Dark Deity, which is that Fire Emblem style game it's really good. It's been on PC. It's gotten kind of mixed reviews from what I've seen, but it will show up on Switch at some point in 2022, and I'll probably end up playing it because that's what I do. And the other one that got announced somewhat recently on the last Nintendo Indie World, and that's Omori, which is I've actually followed Omocat for a long time on Tumblr and like their art style, and this is kind of another Earthboundy, maybe Undertale-y kind of one of those RPGs, but it has a little bit of horror element to it, which, I'm not the big horror fan here, but I do like their art a lot, so I think I'll be playing.
He's a horror fan.
Omori. Yeah, exactly. But I'll be playing Omori on my Switch in 2022, and I'll be pretty excited about doing that.
Chase, one other game I just want to put out there that was like pretty low cut off my list, but I I think Forspoken has some potential to be really cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about what they're doing there.
I wasn't in love with the story stuff that I heard. I didn't love the voice acting or the writing all that much, but just watching the character move it was like, oh, that looks really cool. And knowing that it's using the big Final Fantasy engine here, like we're putting it on the really pretty stuff. We're putting all our resources to it. I'm excited about what that could be. Just didn't like the way it sounded. Also, speaking of Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which is kind of that, hey, this is the entire story of Final Fantasy VII, and maybe it kind of is in that Final Fantasy Pocket Edition look.
Yeah.
I think it's only scheduled for mobile devices right now, so maybe something to play on that iPad.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the story of Final Fantasy VII. I think it's supposed to encompass basically everything. Like, isn't it supposed to have like Dirge of Cerberus shit in there? And so that'll be kind of interesting to see the whole story of Final Fantasy in one thing. I really want to see what that is, what it looks like.
Oh yeah. Well, this is fun. Let's head over to credits here and wrap up for tonight. As we are moving ahead. So we have been teasing a little bit of what's to come in the future here. And I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the next year. And I hope that these games can continue to come out and be a thing that we enjoy and play. So as we mentioned, Patrick, who you see down there, is going to be taking a little time away from the show. So we wish him well and the best of luck in what he's doing. Mondays are now going to be a little bit more free-flowing for the games that Chase and I can play. Hopefully open some doors for some more co-op games. We are going to start a series for Portal 2. I can go ahead and tell you all that this upcoming Monday we're going to play Inscription, though. And we're going to try and unlock a little bit more of that story. So if you can, come back Monday night to check out what was our number 2 game of the year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that game is really cool.
Next week is also our January preview, where Chase puts together the games coming out in January, and we look back at the games that we picked for December and what we would think will be our picks for January as well. So tune in next Wednesday for that, and then Friday, the BJ Factory opens up for Casual Fridays, Satisfactory with Bobby and Johnny.
And that's not this Friday. It's not New Year's Eve. It's the next one after
next
that.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not doing anything this Friday.
No, we're gonna take Friday night off to just reflect and prepare mentally for what 2022 will be.
Yeah.
We're gonna count down, hold our loved ones.
Yes.
I don't know.
And
bring in the new year and get disappointed all over again.
Exactly.
So this week we've got a new quick look up that you can check out for Solar Ash that's currently live on our YouTube channel. Chase and I played through some of the N64 games. You can look at our video on demand and see a pretty technically broken stream where we play through some of that Nintendo Switch Online N64 showcase. Tonight we talked a little bit about the year behind us and the year ahead of us. Tomorrow we've got a quick look for a game called White Shadows, which is visually just striking. Very beautiful game. So please tune in at 9 a.m. over on youtube.com/casual hour. Friday we're taking the night off, but next week we've got a handful of quick looks planned, preview episode. We've got going back to Inscription and a new series for Casual Friday. So please come back and hang out with us. Whipped, have a good night. Thank you for that. And Johnny and Chase, thank you both. Have a good night. Be safe. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Hey guys.